Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Yanamurtim Dvandvatitam Ganganasadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Narayanam Padmabhabam Vashishtam Shaktim Chatatputra Parasarancha Vyasam Sukham Godapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mata Shishisham Shri Shankaracharya Matasya Padmaha Padam Chahasta Malakancha Shisham Tam Totikam Vartika Karamanya Nasmad Gurum Shantatam Manatoshmi Vishwam Darpanadrishyamanya Nagari Tulyam Nijan Targatam Pasyan Atmani Mayaya Bahurivod Utam Yata Nidrayam Ya Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanameva Dvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Katha Upanishad. Lovely Upanishad. Beautiful Upanishad. Typical Upanishad. That's a conversation, dialogue between the someone who wants to know the truth and someone who knows it. It's a classic style in Vedanta. It's a conversation between two mature adults on the topic of moksha, or liberation, freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Yeah. Now, Vedanta is a means of self-knowledge. The issue being that you're already enlightened, but you don't know it. And therefore you need to know what it is, what the self is, and that you're it. So it's a series of teachings, prakriyas, that are designed to remove your ignorance about who you are. And as in the tradition of all Upanishads and most Vedanta texts, they don't start with the text directly. They start with the qualifications of the person who's wanting to gain this knowledge. You might be under the impression that anybody can gain enlightenment. And while that's a nice idea, it's basically untrue. Anybody can't gain enlightenment unless they're qualified for enlightenment. You need to be, and what are those qualifications? Well, you need to be a mature person. What maturity is, we'll talk about in a few minutes. But you'll get an idea what it is when we read this, the beginning of this Upanishad. The teaching doesn't start right away. The teaching starts after we've determined what a qualified student is. This idea that you can just bust in off the street and get it and walk off enlightened is basically nonsense. You can have an epiphany, an experience of non-duality or non-separation or transcendence, or you can see your body as an object, but that does not amount to, or you can feel non-dual love or non-separation from everything, but that does not amount to enlightenment or freedom or moksha. Anyway.
What is this word, Katha Upanishad? The title?
Kato. What does Kato mean?
I don't know what kata means. I'm sorry.
It was never been explained.
Yeah, it never was explained to me either. And I heard it 2 or 3 times
Just
from my
Katha
teacher.
Upanishad.
It may just be a name. Very often, as we said, this knowledge is called apurushe jnanam, and it means it's not from human beings, not from a human intellect. It comes from the self through it's heard or seen, and therefore the people who wrote these Upanishads weren't interested in putting their names on them because they didn't feel they owned them or that they were the ones who gave the Upanishad. So as we saw with the Mandukya, the Frog Upanishad, there's no logic to assigning that particular name to that Upanishad. It looks like they just thought, well, this is a great Upanishad, what should we call it? Nobody could agree on a name, so they just said, okay, let's call it the Frog croaked somewhere, and they said, okay, let's call it the Frog Upanishad. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know. Chapter 1, Nachiketas in the House of Death. At the end of his life, desiring heaven, Nachiketas' father, a pious man, sacrificed a few of his least valuable possessions. Observing the ceremony, Nachiketas thought, "These barren cows have yielded all their milk, ate and drunk for the last time. Joyless are the worlds attained by one who sacrifices such useless offerings." He said, "To whom will you give me, father?" At first the father ignored his son, but Nachiketas persisted, asking a second and third time, "To whom will you give me, father? To whom will you give me?" "To death I give you," said the father in anger. Wishing to ease his father's remorse over his intemperate words, he said to him, "Our ancestors took the word of their fathers as truth. Can I do it less? Death is not to be feared. See how the kernels of corn fall to the ground, decay, and are later reborn." You know, his father's basically a hypocrite. He's got some wealth. It's useless wealth, and he's giving it away. He's not giving like Mother Teresa said till it hurts. He's not giving a meaningful gift, something that really is going to cost him. He's just giving a bunch of his useless possessions. It's like having a garage sale, and then at the end of the garage sale, you put everything out for free. And you feel like you're really, really generous, right? This is the stuff nobody wanted and nobody bought anyway. But you put it on the street and you go for free, and you say, "Oh yeah, I just put all my stuff for free and everybody came and took it. I'm just so wonderfully generous. I'm such a great person." See? In the Vedic time, a sacrifice or a yajna was a very important ritual. It was a common ritual. It was a daily ritual, actually, symbolically daily. And there were many major rituals throughout the year, which all involved offering something of yourself and then the distribution of the fruits of your labor or whatever it was, your wealth, your cattle, to the poor people in the community. It was an important ritual. And if you don't give something meaningful, the whole social fabric falls down. The whole basis of the whole yajna spirit we talked about in the morning class is based upon this yajna spirit, this spirit of sacrifice. And karma yoga is basically the same idea. So the boy is a smart kid, and he sees what his father's doing, and he's irritated at his father. So he calls attention to this, his selfishness. The father gets upset, he doesn't want to accept it, because that's his shadow stuff. This is stuff he's ignoring. The kid's pointing out he's unconscious. Maybe it wasn't unconscious, we don't know. And the father gets mad and says, I give you to death. Now, in Vedic culture, whatever your father's your guru, and whatever your father says is the rule. You have to abide by that. When Sri Ram's father gave the kingdom to his stepbrother, Bharata, right, Sri Ram said, it's the duty of a son to accede to the wishes of the father. I accept. His emotion, he didn't get emotional, even though he had intended to be on the throne. Everybody wanted him there. He just took it as his duty to accept the words of the father. Now, anyway, Nachiketas accepts this, and he says it doesn't matter. He already has a concept of immortality here, right? Because he says, look at how life is. We said, that Vedanta says that time is not linear. You aren't born at one place and then die at another place, never to exist again. Time is cyclical. It's a projection from Maya from the unmanifest to the manifest and back again. So it's a cycle. And he expresses that very nicely hereby. He says, see how the kernels of corn fall to the ground, decay, and are later reborn. So, of course, the seeds of your actions, what? Cause you to be reborn. So you're not losing anything. You don't die. The body drops off and you don't die. So we're starting to get an idea of what the topic is here. I wonder, and then so he's ready to go and see death. Okay, he says, I wonder what death will work through me, Nachiketas thought, as he set out for the house of death. When he arrived, death was out collecting souls, as he does. So Nachiketas remained at his door, fasting and awake for 3 days. Again, when you approach the Guru, you need to have done some tapas. You need to be awake and be able to do without. There's a great story about the Buddha in that fictionalized account of Siddhartha, where he had a lover, and she was an expensive woman, and he needed to get some money. He had no money because he was a sadhu. So she said, well, why don't you talk to my uncle? Her uncle was a rich businessman. And so he went for an interview with the uncle. And the uncle says, you got to be kidding. You want a job? You're a sadhu. Look at you, man. You got nothing. You haven't got a pot to piss in. What are your qualifications? You need some qualifications for a job like this. I mean, I can't just hire a sadhu. And Buddha said, well, you're right. You're absolutely right. I apparently don't have anything, but I think I'm qualified. And the man said, okay, fine. Tell me what your qualifications are. He said, I can wait, I can fast, and I can think. That if you want liberation, you better be able to wait, you better be able to fast, and you better be able to think. Because the problem's ignorance. You need your brain. You need to be able to do without what? Stuff, your desires, the objects of your desires, the fruits of your actions. Right? You're not indifferent to the fruits of your actions. You can wait for whatever it is to come, and you can wait for your moksha. You know you want it bad enough. You know that's the only thing you want. You know it'll come, and you got the time to wait for it and do the work that's necessary to get it. It's going to take a while, because these vasanas are pesky, and they're not going to go away overnight.
Vasanas?
Vasanas are your subconscious tendencies, are your karmas, your past, your tendencies in your mind to extrovert your mind, to cause you to go for things in samsara, in Maya, where you're looking for happiness. Well, the average person's looking for happiness in samsara. And we know a qualified student knows there's no solution in samsara. Right? So looking for what? The solution that takes him out. Which means he's ready to die, what? To the samsaric way of thinking. Huh? This is not a physical death we're talking. This is a death of a certain understanding. Right? This death of the belief in your limitation and your incompleteness and your inadequacy. So they're just teaching us here through this lovely story what you need to be qualified. Upon his return, Death said, "My prostrations to thee." Oh, okay, now what do we got here? We got the guru prostrating to the disciple. Hey, that's kind of backwards, isn't it? Shouldn't the guru be up on a throne and the disciple down below worshiping, oh, Bhagawan, give me. No, it's the guru respects the disciple and shows honor and respect to the disciple. Why? Because that disciple is qualified. Bhaktiman, it says in the scripture. The Lord, the Self, is the devotee of the devotees. These gurus are putting themselves up and asking you to surrender to them and telling them, oh, I'll bust your ego for you. It's all rubbish. It's all nonsense. The guru should be under you, serving you, helping you. The only service you're required is what? A thinking, open mind. You need your mind available and open, because this is a discussion between mature people. This is not some emotional need that I'm satisfied by gaining a guru. And the guru shouldn't be interested in power or whatever it is, right? To tell you what you need or to tell you to do something. I'm the guy who knows what it is. I'm experienced and I should tell you what to do. No, it's nonsense. It's a discussion. So the guru prostrates to the disciple, respects this person. He's the boy. Boy means pure. You know when you're young how the boys are when they're like 8 or 10, 11 years old, before the puberties hit them and they've got a lot of funny ideas where they're so pure-minded, so beautiful. It's like that. The god Murugan, who's the most famous deity in South India, Murugan means like a youth. It's the god that's fresh like a youth, that's pure like a youth, like a young boy. Right. One who fails to offer food to Brahmins certainly sacrifices the company of the good, the rewards of pious giving, sons, and cattle. It means life's not really worth it. All this stuff is not worth it unless you have respect for the truth. And the Brahmins are what? These are the people who keep the truth. A Brahmin means what? A knower of Brahman. Someone who appreciates or knows or worships Brahman. Brahman means the self. The self means you, awareness, what is limitless. Please choose 3 boons, one for each day of waiting without food. May auspiciousness befall me. He's wanting to be blessed. He realizes what his duty is. Right? He let a Brahmin wait while he was out doing his job. Right? So he's saying, I'm going to give you 3 boons. Right? Nachiketas replied, as my first boon, I ask that my father be pacified and accept me with love when you send me home. He's going to clear up that little karmic thing at home. This means you shouldn't run to spirituality until you've got your life straightened out. You shouldn't leave a bunch of loose ends and run off to India looking for God because you can't get your life together. That's what that means. Right? And whatever karma you got, you should sort that. So he's telling Death, okay, sort it out with this guy. It wasn't my fault. He just said it in temperate words. I love my father. I know he loves me. Let's clear the air. So he's not leaving any karma behind him that he has to deal with. He's coming fresh. He's coming clear. Right? Death replied, he will sleep peacefully and lose his anger when he sees you next. Then Nachiketa says, because you take souls there, you must know the fire sacrifice by which one gains the relative immortality of heaven. Please teach me this sacrifice. Okay. Because he collects souls. He must know where they're going. So I want to know this. I want to know what heaven is. What's beyond? He says here, gains the relative immortality of heaven. Now, in Vedic culture, there's two immortalities. There's the relative immortality of heaven, and there is what? Moksha, or absolute immortality. And that only gets gained through self-knowledge. How do you gain the relative immortality of heaven? Through karma. Yeah, good work. Ritual sacrifice. Through karma. What does that mean? You do good things. You give away. You do charity, danam. You give away stuff, and when you give away stuff, what? Your mind becomes peaceful and happy. It feels good to be without all this stuff, right? Now that's a here and now heaven. Here they are conceiving of what? Heaven as a literal heaven that you go to after what? You build up so much good karmas here. And the results of those karmas, right, accrue to you in heaven. That's a place without this body. And those karmas fructify there, and you enjoy. You feel happy, you feel immortal. There's only pleasure in heaven, right? Because you only did good karmas, you only get pleasure. If you did bad karmas, then you get to experience hell, Naraka it's called. He's not interested in that one. It's not his problem anyway, because he's a Brahmin, he's pure. And he's done the rituals. He wants to know what happens. This concept of heaven is just like going to a beach in Thailand in the middle of winter. You got all your money, put it in the bank, you go to Thailand, you enjoy. Every day you're enjoying, you're laying there, you're drinking you're eating your nice Thai food, and getting your suntan and laying on the beach and taking a little swim, and it's really happy. But every day, the bank balance is going down, down, down. And one day, you're broke. You have to go back to your job and start working again. So this karma, anything you do through ritual sacrifice, is not going to produce lasting happiness. That's why it's called the relative immortality of heaven. Do-gooders, they have to keep doing good to keep feeling good. As soon as they stop doing good, they stop feeling good. They're giving away something of themselves, and that makes them feel empty and happy for a little bit. But they get a vasana for doing good. That causes them to act again. And so any kind of ritual practice, secular or sacred, is going to what? Produce vasanas, cause karma, and cause you to be reborn. Reborn means identify with that desire and perform that action, replicate that desire, and perform that action over and over again. Same idea again. Same idea we've been talking all along. So he wants to know what this sacrifice is, how to do this. Indeed, I know the fire leading to heaven as well as that, seated in the cavity of the heart which supports the whole universe, said Death. Okay, now we're bringing in the other topic. One is the results of karma, the other is what? That moksha, right. That, seated in the cavity of the heart, which supports the whole universe. What is seated in the cavity of the heart that supports the whole universe? Awareness, the self, limitless consciousness, seated in the cavity of the heart. Heart means the essence. The essence of your own self is what? Consciousness, awareness. So Death knows both what? He's the teacher. He knows karma and he knows jnana, knowledge, self-knowledge. So he's qualified to what? Teach this point. So he explained the sacrifice, the mantras, how many bricks were required, how the altar was to be constructed. Pleased that his pupil understood the ritual so well, he proclaimed that henceforth the sacrifice would be called the Nachiketa's fire, and asked for the third boon. Okay. We don't need to get into the details of this ritual, because we're going for moksha. We don't want happiness. Happiness is, we can take or give. Happiness that you can get through action, we can take or leave it. We want what? Freedom, moksha. What?
Heaven can wait.
Heaven can wait. We don't want to get stuck in sattva. We want to kill what? Joy, the near enemy. That's what the Buddhists call joy, the near enemy. We want to kill that one. When a person dies, Nachiketa said, does he or she continue to exist? Some say we exist after death, and others that we don't. Please tell me what happens. On this subject, Death replied, even the gods have their doubts. The self is very difficult and subtle. The self is very subtle and difficult to understand. Don't press me on this. I'll give you another book. Huh? He doesn't want to talk about this. He may know the answer, but he's testing this kid. Huh?
It puts him out of business.
Huh?
It puts death
Yeah, it puts death out of business too, right? Huh? Figure out that one and the answer to that one, and death goes out of business. And that's what, in fact, moksha does. It puts death out of business. So don't ask. I'll give you something else. So you take something else. It's fine. Never mind. This is the only worthwhile question, said Nachiketas, and you're the only one who knows the answer. Then Death said, take anything you want. Immeasurable wealth, endless progeny, immortality, fast chariots, and beautiful woman. But don't ask what the soul happens to the soul after death. Huh? Yeah, go ahead, take it up. Thank you, said Nachiketas. Thank you for the offer, but these things wear out the senses. Wealth and children are only useful until you appear. Right? When death shows up, what good are my children and my money? Huh? They're useless. Even the longest life is very short. Huh? You keep the beautiful woman and fast chariots. I want to know what happens when the body dies. Huh? What a spirit, huh? What a great spirit this young man has. I love that one. That's such a good. Thank you for the offer, but these things wear out the senses. All you get from chasing stuff in samsara is tired. You don't get happiness, you get tired. So, chapter 2. Death said, now he begins to teach it. He realizes, hey, I've got somebody here who's got their head screwed on straight. Okay. And basically Vedanta is for people who have come to this conclusion. That's why there are only a few people at these satsangs. Just because most people have not come to this conclusion. They're still looking for something in the samsara that they think is going to solve the problem. Just around the corner. You know, Mrs. Wright's going to come. I'm just going to get the lottery. You know? Just any time now. I'm all working it, cooking it up, and all together. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's just about to happen. You know. See how the people are always thinking, oh my God, it's just, you know. This guy's figured it out. Hey, this just wears me out. If I get all this stuff, at the end of the day, I'm just going to be a worn-out old guy. Forget it. I want freedom. I want to be young forever. That's immortality. I want to feel free forever. Death said, what is good is one thing. What is pleasant is another. Both bind the soul. It goes well for the one who calmly examines both and discriminates wisely in favor of the good. But the one who unthinkingly chooses the pleasant is verily a fool. After wisely considering my offer, you have renounced everything. Consequently, you have avoided the path to wealth, where many are lost. The good is one thing and the pleasant is another. These are two words, shreyas and prayas, in the Sanskrit. Shreyas means actually what is always good. The word Shiva, it means the same as Shreyas. Shiva means that which is always auspicious. In every time, place, and circumstance, in every state of mind, in every condition, wherever you are, whatever is always good is what's called Shiva. That's called Shreyas. And Prayas is what is convenient, what is pleasant. And Most people, again we're talking this distinction between, this is called prayas, and shreyas. Prayas, and this is called shreyas. Awareness, yourself, what is always good at every point, at every time? What is always good? It's me. Me, I'm what's always good, because it's for my sake that I want all this other stuff. So, all this stuff is only to make me happy. Therefore, I'm what it is that's most important. Right? I'm ready. I always tell the story about the man who came home and saw his house burning down. His son was in the house. His young boy was in the house, and sleeping in his crib. And the man was like totally upset. And he said, "Hey, isn't there anybody here? I'll give $100. I'll give $1,000. I'll give all my wealth if you'll go and save my son." Nobody took up the offer. He wouldn't even go and save his own son. Why? Because the son was only valuable for him. Huh? The son was only valuable for his sake, not for the son's sake. Huh? That means what? Yeah. I'm what's most important. And I'm what's always good. And that I means what? Most people think this I means this, the subtle body. That I means this. That'll always serve you. Right? The knowledge of that you are this will always serve you. This will always be good knowledge. Huh? This will solve your problem every time, the knowledge of that. But the knowledge of anything in Maya, it may give you a little pleasure. It may give you a few minutes or a day or a week or a month, even a year or two of happiness. But I tell you, one day, all that will go away and you'll start suffering. And you may get it back, but you'll start suffering again, because what is the nature of Maya? Constantly changing. Never the same from one moment to the next. When you're having pain, you're suffering, right? You should know what the pleasure's coming down the pike. But that doesn't solve your problem, does it? Because when you're having pleasure, you know that pleasure's about to disappear, and you're going to go get either just neutral feeling, or you're going to get some more pain coming on. There's no relief here if you're looking for happiness. What is good? And you should go for the good. He said, both bind the soul. Yes, the soul wants to be bound to what is true and real. It's okay if you're bound to be what is true and real. No problem. That bondage is not a bondage. That's bondage is liberation. It's the bondage to prayas, to all this convenient, easy stuff, all these pleasures and so forth and so on, that is the problem. Bondage to that is suffering. Bondage to the real is no problem. It's not bondage, in fact. So you need to in other words, one needs to constantly be discriminated, right, to get this. Separating what's convenient from what's right, from what's true, from what's lasting, and what's real. What is known as ignorance and what is known as knowledge are wide apart. Knowledge and ignorance are wide apart.